All right, welcome everyone. We are Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Haikyuu, Season 4, Episode 19.
Back to Inarizaki versus Karasuno.
Indeed. We are in the second set, yes?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, we are in the second set, and they actually showed us a bit of the scoreboard in the previous episode.
Right. Yeah.
Because this whole match was happening at the same time as the stuff with Nekoma.
And Sarukawa. Yep.
Right, and Sarukawa. So it's now 13-8, I believe.
Whoa.
Which, with
Karasuno is not winning?
Yeah, Inarizaki is winning right now.
Gotcha,
now,
yeah.
You know, granted, they won the first set already, so should be good, but...
Right. But they might lose this second set and get things a little bit too close for comfort. In a lot of ways, I feel like this is Inarizaki's set to win then, and we need to have this kind of go for the third set kind of climactic, kind of drawn-out, long battle between the two of them.
Right, because we kind of know that Karasuno has to win here because they have to face Nekoma, right? I mean, there could always be an upset, and that would be crushing.
I would love to be surprised, but I don't think we're going to be.
I don't think so either, especially with the fact that we've gone through about half of the second set and not even really seen anything there happening. And it would feel a little bit weird if the second-seeded team was beaten by Karasuno in 2 sets.
Yes.
You know, so... Yeah, they'll probably win the second set going into the third, but Karasuno's definitely going to win, and we will get that Battle of the Garbage Dump.
Yes.
It'll be wonderful.
Yes. We got some cool clarifying info with regards to the brackets, kind of getting us a little bit more up to date with regards to how to perceive how the brackets works with the seedings and such. So Karasuno kind of got unlucky in that they had to face Inarizaki in their second match overall of Nationals. But that means that out there somewhere is Fukurodani, you know, somewhere, potentially having to face Hitachiyama again, which is the #1 seeded team.
Yeah.
And that's its own thing as well. So this is going to be kind of the point in which either they decide to quickly wrap up the Inarizaki match, or decide to kind of say, "Hell no, the next like 2 or 3 episodes or more is actually going to be like finishing up this match, and we're going to get to know a lot more of the characters in Inarizaki. Maybe have some really cool focus moments like we had with Tanaka for members of Karasuno. Because I really do feel like they're doing the whole duo dynamic for both teams rather well, with Kageyama and Hinata on just like on point. But then the Mia twins have some tricks, like they have some potential for some
kind of
telepathy
badass.
synergy.
Like the stuff that they've been doing, it makes me, the fact that I'm so sure that, you know, they're probably going to lose makes me sad because their moves are pretty damn cool.
Yeah, and they also both really love volleyball despite being like different and having their little like familiar brother tension and stuff,
definitely.
which is fun.
I have no idea why I'm you know, invested in them. Yeah, nope,
exactly.
Definitely not.
But they also have a great number of players that aren't even like getting focused on right now that they could bring into the fold if they needed to.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh boy.
Y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right.
So
Inarizaki's coming in strong.
They have a really good lead. Karasuno is catching up.
Yes.
But they might not be able to catch up in time.
Yeah.
The whole idea of them focusing Nishinoya, I love that as a concept. I love anytime we can get more focus on Nishinoya. He's one of my favorite characters just from an enjoyment standpoint, you know? So getting into more of the serious stuff with him, I love it. But he handled it quite well, all things considered, you know?
He adjusted to the pressure. He dug deep into the stuff that he had been practicing. He had his finger push-up stuff that he was doing, even while he needed his fingers taped up in general. So he's just kind of saying like, I'm a badass, I've got this.
I am the guardian deity of Karasuno.
Exactly. He is all about that self-confidence that he needs to stoke his own flames, not for the sake of ego, but just to be like, I need to never doubt myself so that I end up in a funk or something like that. And that's awesome because given that his role is one that can't be traded off to someone else.
The buck stops with him. Like,
the buck stops with him.
Like he really is the last line of defense. So, you know, if he fails, then all else is lost.
Yeah, someone else has to put on the unique uniform, I guess.
Right.
Or
and
I don't even know how that works. We've never had Nishinoya actually
get injured and need to be subbed out. It's like, well, I guess we forfeit the match at this point. You know?
Right. And when we say subbed out, we're not meaning like coming off the court in half points because of the rotations.
But he can't play kind of a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's tactical reasons as to when he gets subbed out.
Right.
But I guess we're meaning more benched is the correct term in that
benched
regard.
Or, sent to the nurse or, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This was a serve kind of episode as well. We had a lot of moments specifically with Mia and then Kageyama getting that focus of realizing not only are they exceptional servers for their teams specifically, but they are both being eyed for the national youth team, which is exciting because that brings up the beginning parts of season 4 and how there was all that focus on the idea of these players
What's beyond nationals.
Yeah, these players being looked at in the world kind of stage level, and that Japan needs to field the best players.
Right.
And Kageyama is at that level where he's like, you can be looked at. You can be looked at. Now, in this match, though, there was definitely a lot of moments where Atsuma Mia, was causing issues with the team because of his brash kind of critiques of the whole thing there. And it felt kind of like just a moment of, I was just gonna bring it out there, like I am one of those people that sometimes falls into this trap, like personally. And I think it's kind of fun that we can bring this up actually, because we're brothers to the point where people won't assume we're twins ever because we look pretty different in that regard. But we are very much in sync. We can get in the zone where we'll finish each other's sentences. We'll be able to kind of rib off each other really well. But I am prone to critiques of a not necessarily healthy kind of variety.
Well, and the idea that sometimes, the reason that he did it that time is probably because a lot of the times it actually does help, right?
Sure.
And then it's the, it's the stoking the competitiveness of, I've got more service aces than you. It's like, okay, shut up. Yeah, right. But then this time, oh, no, it didn't actually work. And, he ended up serving it way off, which I'm glad that they commented that, hey, you do that sometimes too. Right. Because we've never seen anything like that before, I don't think. That was, and granted, they're going for jump serves and going for service aces. So
extremely powerful hits.
So if the angle is off just a little bit, it will definitely go far enough to go way outside the court.
And also the ball, a volleyball, is light enough that if you hit it at the wrong angle, it can curve up. It can literally curve
I would not be surprised.
Down with gravity, but literally up and away.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, with golf, that's very much a thing that can happen. So, volleyballs are bigger, but, they're full of air.
They're full of air, yeah, exactly.
So I wouldn't be too surprised, especially when you get up to the level of setters like we have here, or servers.
Anytime you see Kageyama do that spin there, it's just a reminder to you that it's fully tight with air and stuff, so he can actually spin it on something with the surface tension of his palm with that speed.
And also stop it just as easily.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
But we also saw some cool stuff with Inarizaki's pinch server, who reminded us a lot of Tadashi of Yamaguchi, and also recently Kinoshita, who didn't do a bad serve.
He didn't.
His serve was decent, but it was not great. And that's something that needs to be acknowledged, is that while we're in the nationals level of things, they cannot just be good or okay.
A is average, sucks. B is below average.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So it sucks, but yeah, he was needed in this position to basically break the flow of where things were going with Karasuno and seal up the game a little bit, and it didn't work.
Right.
But the harsh feedback from his own team's cheering squad.
Well, yeah, the cheering squad. I
thought the captain thing was actually pretty mature.
Yeah, okay.
It's a one-on-one.
It's a one-on-one thing. It's the rest of the team is kind of there, but it's also sort of a thing of telling you shape up, sort of a thing. Which is, if anyone's going to do that, it'd be the captain and coach, right? So it makes sense, right? But the cheering squad just booing him. It's like, oh man,
yeah, what the hell?
And there are very different styles of teaching, kind of, because it's turning it into sort of a teaching moment in one way or another. And studies have shown that it doesn't really have much effect one way or the other,
Yep.
whether you do encouragement or, or sort of ridicule kind of stuff, really harsh stuff, so, I mean, yeah, that's the way that works for them,
Yeah.
but
They are the second seeded team to be here. So their system that they use works well enough that they're probably not going to change this because, a first year, or I believe he was a first year, did poorly on a serve or did average on a serve.
Right.
I would say that he did fine for someone. If that was Tadashi, I'd have been like,
Sure.
yeah, good serve, buddy. Good job.
But they're not playing here.
They are not.
They're not playing. If they were going to be playing volleyball, then they could do that at home or whatever.
So they're wanting to win volleyball.
They are wanting to win. This is a, even though like the whole thing of, but they're not pros. At this point they kind of are.
Yeah.
Like they're not getting paid for it in money,
but some of them could go on to be pros.
Yeah. Like there are very concrete things that they are getting in. Well, maybe not concrete, but
this is being televised.
This is being televised,
like nationally.
Right? They're getting exposure. No, but they are getting a lot if they do well here. So this is not something where you can just be casual about it, right?
And just because we're winning really well on a set doesn't mean they can bring in a pinch server to give him more practice. We're down a set. I'm speaking from Inarizaki's perspective.
Yep.
They have to win this set.
And
but they have to win the next set as well.
So they absolutely cannot lose this set.
Right. So the idea that they would bring him in for the third set just went out the window. Like, to be just perfectly honest, there was that time when I was playing baseball and I looked at the options of playing in a more aggressive and competitive league, baseball. And I wasn't playing really in high level at all, like really not at all. Because when you get to about 15, 16, 17-year-olds in high school, they're all basically have the potential in their bodies to be semi-pros. Like that's how strong you can get at
usually,
baseball.
if they're being serious about it at that point, that's what they're gunning for.
That's what they're gunning for, exactly.
Yep, getting a college scholarship and,
Right. So the teams I was playing with were all the people that were the fourth and fifth string players in general, for those kinds of teams that ended up, we just played at our own league. It was much more casual. But when I was 16, my growth spurt happened. I got a lot stronger. And I had that moment where I was like, I could play with the drafting leagues, the ones where you literally show up to tryouts and you get drafted or you do not. Like you show up.
Not just like for what team, but like to actually play at all.
Yeah. And I went and looked at what that would entail. And I was like, nope, I'm good. I would rather just have a guaranteed spot on a team where, nope, none of us are going to be crazy good, but I'm going to have a good time, and I'm going to build that team camaraderie, and I'll get to play some baseball. But, oh my God, the games I would hear about people that would actually make it to the state level in these teams, they were all thinking about the possibility of a scout showing up, about the possibility of this game meaning something beyond just the, then we might make it to nationals then, and then all that stuff. It's no, like this is serious.
This is life, career stuff going on here,
And the people in the stands can get even nastier than this, especially in the games I would hear about and stuff as well.
Well, yeah, and to say nothing of if you throw any kind of familial relationships.
Yes.
Then it's.
Yes.
Man, I know there are a bunch of families that can do it in a really healthy, emotionally supportive way and everything, but my God,
I'm glad I was not in one of those situations. Yes, personally.
Yep. But totally get it.
But we got a lot of also side commentary this episode.
We did.
A lot of the players from Nekoma got to give some insight to things there as well.
We got that old guy in the stands, which,
Kuri Inarizaki. That was cool.
That was great.
Grandpa cheerer there, or dad cheerer.
I am so a fan of the sort of the anime grandpas, basically.
Yes.
I love them. I love
Yes.
them. I want them to be portrayed more, because the wholesome stuff that can happen from that is just wonderful.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But we got to, via that, learn a little bit about Rintaro's contortionist body core utilization.
Which, it makes sense.
Spiking strategy.
Like the whole hyper stylized, like turn him completely, shaft like neck tilt, kind of a thing for the sake of showcasing what's happening. Cool, I like it. Mm-hmm. But with what he's doing, it's like, yeah. Okay, he's really lithe. He's really lithe. His body's not too big, right? So those kinds of weird movements, theoretically he could do that. And because it's weird, right? You wouldn't see that very often when you're playing against it. So if you're playing against people that are really good at reading what kind of spike you're going to do, throw some curveballs in there, throw some red herrings, set them up. That makes sense. Especially with Inarizaki coming from a school that is not just because they're second seeded for nationals, right? Yep. It's not about winning against Karasuno. They're talking about winning the whole thing, right? So they are training to play against the best, right?
And they are a team that is more or less kind of a they're like kind of the team, like one of the teams to beat. But the way they were talking about them before everything was set up was that this is also the team that's like on the rise as well. So like this is a more evolved, more physically adept Karasuno in a lot of ways as well.
Sure.
But we're seeing, and I want to put this out there, we're seeing some familiar things that Kageyama dealt with in Miya Sumo that I'm like,
And if this is
not a king behavior, but it is it is an overbearing, not captain, taking the role of being a bit of the director. And it's like, so interesting, especially since the captain is going to be joining in this next point.
This is going to sound weird at first, but I'm going to bring up game balance in video games for a second.
Ooh, okay.
So apparently the guy who was one of the big people behind StarCraft, when he was asked about like game balance and stuff, because StarCraft, that's certainly back in the day, very popular, like esport, competitive gaming, all that stuff. How do you make it so that it's balanced and all of that stuff? And one of the things that he said was that he would double or half things, not like do small incremental changes, because then that would give a bigger show of how it affects the meta,
the data,
right? Yeah, exactly. Because you wouldn't have because then you can very easily see what that piece is doing, right?
Right.
In the case of Miya, he didn't have nearly as big of, he didn't have that whole king issue that Kageyama did.
Right.
Or at least if he does, it's much smaller.
Right.
And because of that, I think it's something where he hasn't had a need to change it because it hasn't been drastically out of balance. Because he's been able to do it in a lot of good ways, right? Where he's being a good king, and he brings a lot out of his team, right?
Right.
In some fantastic ways, and Kageyama was able to learn from that. But now that we're getting to the point where we're like measuring like the every little bit, right? Because Kageyama is an amazing setter.
Yeah.
We're starting to see that,
he's not all cool and collected all the time.
Maybe, he still can learn things, right? And because he is the best setter in, Japan high school volleyball, right? He probably doesn't think he really needs to.
True. The other thing that's kind of cool to be reminded of is that he is a second year in high school. So maturity-wise, he is also a bit young. Yeah. So in terms of where, he is, older than Kageyama, so he's a senpai in that regard. You have characters who are coming in, like the captain of Inarizaki, Shinsuke, who is a third year, who is probably going to rein in and close this set. Like, I could see it being a thing of where he's like, you know what he's there for? He does his job probably as a spiker, probably as a wing spiker, like Aran, pretty well. But you know what it might be? Is that he is literally just another Daichi, where he comes in, and he's like, I am the taskmaster. We are going to fall in line and be a cohesive unit Is that understood? And then they're all like, yes, sir, yes, sir.
I'm almost imagining like a Satsuki sort of heel click as he comes in. Right. Because when we were, getting introduced to Inarizaki, and it's like, oh, okay, they're captain. Ooh, I like the design,
He's tall,
like, yeah, he's tall. And, anytime an anime character has like white or grayish kind of like hair, it always... I feel like they always end up being hyper proficient at something, right?
It's true.
And
so true.
and certainly having a unique perspective on things, right? Sort of a maybe aloof, distant, or whatever, maybe slightly alien.
And then there's Bokuto.
And Bokuto definitely has.
He is a freak of nature with regards to physicality.
Exactly. And it's only half hair, being of that color. So
that's true.
But since he was off the starting lineup.
Yeah, he wasn't part of the starting six.
I was like, okay, one, how well can he lead from back there?
Right.
Two, is he someone to actually be concerned about as a player?
Right.
Because
is he like a Suga, maybe?
Well, and that's what I was...
Suga kind of did something...
Well, yeah, Suga did something pretty similar. Yeah, actually, Suga is probably the closest example of someone that isn't like hyper proficient while having the gray hair. But
right. Well, no, Suga serves.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. Suga serves. Right, it's right, just not quite at that Kageyama level.
But, of course not. Yeah, that's true.
Because Kageyama's Kageyama, right? But with the captain, right, it almost gave me this feeling when he started to like step in, and also when he talked to the pinch server, of sort of like the I'm a military commander. I'm not I'm the team captain, but in military terms, I wouldn't actually be the captain. I wouldn't be one of the people on the front lines. I'm the whatever the rank, the next highest rank up would be, where you're not actually
the voice of the team.
Right.
I am not the arms and the legs.
Exactly.
And I'm the head and that.
Right.
And maybe he comes up with tactics. Maybe he's their Kenma as well.
Sure.
So when they have timeouts and stuff, he's like the other voice of the coach in that regard.
And also maybe something of, hey, Mia, you're a diva. I understand. That's how you behave best. You act best.
But let's win here.
When you have the spotlight. But
yeah.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm stepping in here.
I'm in charge now.
We're going to do this. We're going to win. Yeah. I don't care if you like it, but that's what's going to happen.
I would love to see, in a lot of ways, a cool little moment where, in some ways, Atsuma Miya maybe goes over to his twin, Osamu, and just kind of goes like, now the big guys come in and make
right.
And he's like, you deserve it, and they're like, you baka, and then they kind of like scuffle each other and stuff. Typical brother shit, But like,
I would love it.
It would be fun to have that be a thing where then once that's all wrapped up, and then they probably win the second set, Shinsuke heads out and kind of gives him a look of like, now go win this. And he's like, oh, okay, that's my leader. Yeah,
right.
It's the salt and then the honey,
Yeah, it's the strict mom that's like, okay, you cleaned your room.
Yeah.
Here's some ice cream.
Yeah, here's some ice cream.
Yeah. Right.
You'll like it now. Okay, now win. Yeah. And then him switch back, and then it goes to a really tough third set. I really do feel like they're going to take the second set, but when Kageyama started going off,
that was so awesome.
I gotta say, that was hype. That was
so
really hype.
Cool.
Like, the moment where he went full Oikawa and the ball disappeared into the corner.
Into like that perfect spot in the corner, just no touching it. They barely even saw it happen. Like, and then of course they take a timeout, right? And it's like, oh,
Yeah, that was something. But don't freak out.
Don't freak out. We got this. Oh shit. Yep. He's still in the zone. Like that transition where he was like imagining holding the ball, and then it just cuts to the ball there. It's like, because Kageyama is a bit of a robot, right? Like,
that's true.
Like he is kind of a robot. So
Kalm Kageyama.
Exactly.
The deep lore.
but be careful, because it's only on the exterior that he's calm, right?
Yeah, so tread with caution.
Exactly.
I loved it's like deep lore and instruction manual of how to run Kageyama the robot.
Right, because I have studied this. I know how this works, right? But the idea that Kageyama it almost felt to me like he just went into sort of a stasis of like, okay, I'm in the zone, freeze. Okay, I'm playing again. All right, like, yep. It's so cool when he does that.
Yeah. I love that there's all these little things that we've come to just, I would say take in and absorb about our boys in Karasuno, to where we don't need to see their face or their jersey number or anything, but when they do their little thing,
Oh yeah, we know who it is.
We know exactly who it is. And it's just like,
you would never see Hinata doing that. Like
Hinata would be doing it in the corner, be like, damn it, why is it not spinning?
Either not spin or like flip out of his hands or something. Yeah,
like, what the how does he do it?
Exactly.
Kageyama like reveals he's like got a weird like joint thing in his like hand here or something, and he's like, actually, it provides like the perfect spinning point for this. Otherwise, it wouldn't work at all.
I have practiced this 2 hours every day for for like 6 years. Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, oh man, I think it's cool as hell. It's like the one thing like Kageyama's like, is anyone watching? He's like, this is pretty cool. Right?
Okay, all right, just me.
It's the basketball thing where you spin the thing in your fingers and stuff. Yep. But okay, headed in towards the end of the second set, Inarizaki is winning by a good chunk of points. We don't know exactly by how many, but it's probably around 5 or 6. Maybe a little less, we'll see. But we saw, I'd say, one thing that might have been a little bit confusing, and it was a point where Karasuno blocked, and I believe it was Asahi blocking, but the ref called something where he put his hand down by the net, and then Asahi was like, apologizing, and then the point went to Inarizaki, even though it was blocked back into the court. So I believe that was
Asahi touching the net.
Asahi touching the net.
Probably. And that's probably one of those other things where, because apparently a lot of the stuff that was in the manga that covered this fight was cut, it's probably something where they spent a bit more time focusing on that. But potentially because of where this season's going to end, which I'm very curious about, they're like, you know what? We want to end it at a particular point, so we're going to like speed things along so that we can get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, Nekama's waiting in the wings.
That's right.
And we are
waiting in the wings.
Oh yeah. The shadows of these now fully flighted crows in that.
That's right.
In that way there. But y'all, Haikyuu, it's so good. Love to see it. Thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. And check out our full-length timer reaction discussion if you're interested in getting the full experience with that. Sync up your episode footage with the link in the description below for our Patreon. Any level of support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us and the community there about Haikyuu, stories, anime in general, what have you. And you can also check out our Twitch channel.
Indeed. The info for it is in the description. We stream Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time for all of those days. Mondays podcast, Tuesdays One Piece dramatic manga readings, Wednesday and Friday K-Plus gaming.
Yep, I'm playing Hades.
And Thursday I do gaming, which is Persona 4 Golden right now.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.